Well, I don't know. I was going to use it just in case.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I'd like to welcome you all this evening to the Georgetown Neighborhood Association Ward 2 Candidates Forum. There we go. My name is Kathy Simonson, and I am at present the sort of chair of the Georgetown Neighborhood Association. And I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. I also like to take a moment to thank Lori Michael for turning up. I'd also like to thank the other candidates for various open and other positions that have turned up, and Fred Windsor. If you want to, well, you're already standing, but Paul Sears, if you'd like to.
There he is.
Jennifer McCree.
Hi.
And there was there someone else? I keep losing people. Is there anybody else who's running for office who'd like to stand up and wave? No, this is your chance. Okay, excellent. Again, thank you all for coming. These things are sort of useless if nobody comes. I'd like to thank the three candidates for Ward 2 for coming, because otherwise it would be completely unfortunate and boring. And I'd most especially like to thank Josh Lepowski from the Department of Geography at Memorial University, who has agreed to act as our moderator this evening, and he is going to explain to you how this evening will work. So, Josh, on to you.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. Good evening, everybody. I am acting as moderator tonight, so I just thought I'd explain a little bit of the format that I learned about as I came in the room. So, the candidates will each introduce themselves. They will each have 5 minutes to then speak about their platform. After all three candidates have spoken, the floor is then open to come and ask questions. We may be an intimate enough group that we don't need the microphone, but it's there and working if we need it. Questions posed to the candidates can be, of course, to an individual or to all three. And then the candidates will each have 3 minutes to answer any questions posed. The order was of speaking was cast using the high-tech randomizer. So the candidates are sitting in the order that they'll speak, starting on stage right. And that will conclude my role until other bits of moderation need to occur. So we will have the first speaker.
Thank you so much. My name is Jon Galgay. I'd like to, first of all, thank the association for putting this together tonight. It's a great opportunity, so thank you so much. By means of introduction, I'm 31 years old. I'm a public policy professional who's provided contractual services to both the federal and provincial government for the past 7 years of my young career. I started my career off working in Ottawa as a legislative advisor, moving then into the Department of Health and then Justice, and then into the civil service. My background working with stakeholders, key groups and organizations, and advocating for people, I've done that for about 7 years. I decided to run in this election because I feel that the experience that I've gained by advocating behind the scenes, I thought that I could do a little bit more of a better job by stepping out forward and advocating face-to-face for the best interests of residents. So I feel as if I've had some great experiences, some challenges. I've traveled throughout the country and throughout our province, meeting with individuals from all walks of life, and I have great respect. This campaign for me started in February. When I announced that I was going to be seeking election, I took the opportunity to meet with residents in every neighborhood. To date, I've met with over 6,800 residents. I've been in every neighborhood at least 3 times, and I'm doing the best that I can to meet with every resident. I developed a set of priorities that I thought would be best suited to launch this campaign, and all those priorities, many of you would have received my brochure, every resident received it. Those priorities were based on your consultation with the residents. My campaign is primarily focused on neighborhoods, building safe, stable, reliable neighborhoods in which people feel comfortable and they feel safe. I have great interest in the development of parks, recreational facilities, advocating for those who are unable to advocate for themselves. I have a lot of respect for the Georgetown Neighborhood Association. You've been a model for our city. I've mentioned that before publicly, that I think that other neighborhood associations in Ward 2 and throughout our city can learn from what you've done. I'm very supportive of the Century Park development. I understand that the city is waiting to hear back from the association to move that project forward, and I commit to you tonight that I will certainly advocate on your behalf after consulting with you. I have a background in public safety enforcement. I work within the civil service. I know structures of government. I know how civil service works. I know the barriers that often people are challenged against, and I'm most certain to be very involved in the decision-making process. It's time to move past the complacency at City Hall, and I look forward to representing the residents of Ward 2. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott Fitzgerald, and first off, I would like to thank the Georgetown Association for putting this together. It's a great opportunity to talk to you, and thanks to you guys for coming out. By way of introduction, I'm 45 years old. My wife and I raised our kids here in Ward 2. We've lived here for the last 20 years. And I guess, just mentioning my background a bit, I've worked as an IT professional for the last 15 years, last 5 with the provincial government at the Office of the Chief Information Officer. Prior to that, my wife and I operated our own business for about 10 years. And prior to that, I worked in healthcare, working with adults with developmental disability. And then going back further to my education, I have a degree in political science and history from Memorial. When my kids were young and they started to get involved in various activities, I began to want to become involved. And that's kind of been a pattern for me in my community involvement over the last almost 10 years. Whenever there's been a need for someone to step up and get involved, I've always been there to do that. And so I've volunteered. I currently sit on the St. Mary's Elementary School Council. I've been there for 8 years. I've volunteered coaching with St. John's Soccer, St. John's Youth Soccer, Avalon Minor Hockey, Beaconsfield Junior High. I was a power skating coach. I volunteered as a swim meet official. You get the idea. When there's something needs to be done, I always step up. So that has always that's kind of progressed to the point now where I feel, I've been out in front of a lot of issues, and I'd like to take the next step and be part of City Council and bring the city forward. Some of the things that I strongly believe in are continued economic development, but not economic development at any cost. I think that we have to preserve what makes St. John's so special. Our heritage structures, the beautiful downtown core that we have needs to be preserved and protected. I want my grandkids to be able to enjoy it the same way I do, if not more. The saying that I use around my house, it drives my kids crazy, but it's that we need to do what we had to do so that we can do what we want to do. And so that economic development is crucial so that we can do the things that we want to do with regards to cleaning up our green spaces, cleaning up the downtown in general, helping to strengthen neighborhoods, and other more tangible things like infrastructure that needs to be invested in heavily. Aside from that, there are big pressing needs that as I go door to door, and I've been all over this ward, affordable housing is a huge issue that has come up, and it's really been an eye-opener for me, because I have to admit that when I first affordable housing, I always thought it was social housing. And, you know, it's been quite an eye-opener for me to realize that social housing has many different facets and affects many different people. And, you know, from the social housing aspect to seniors who are being squeezed out of their own homes because of rising property taxes. It's a big, big issue that we need to really address. In the Georgetown area and in other areas, near Being Road, the idea of slum landlords has come up time and time again. And the horror stories of residents that have had to put up with this stuff, and City Hall is just not coming forward for them to help them out. So I see my time is getting short, so I'll cut it short now. Thank you very much. Look forward to your questions.
All right, my name is Andrew Harvey, and I'm 30 years old. I ran in 2009, which some of you probably know, for Ward 2 as well. I also ran with Scott too at that time, very collegially. And so since then, I've been to 109 council meetings, which a lot of you also probably know. And so I was running for the scope at that time. I was live blogging the council meetings on Twitter. And basically why I was doing all of those things was because in 2009 when I ran, I was basically just frustrated at the lack of quality amongst the representation I was receiving. And so I thought that I could do a better job. And so I ran, and it turns out that I didn't win, obviously, but basically I kind of stuck with it. And so I basically been campaigning for the last 4.5 years, is what I like to say. And so I've been talking to people, I've been becoming informed about the issues, because to be fair, in 2009 I wasn't that well informed. But in 109 council meetings, I've seen a lot of things. I've figured out about how the city works and how the city doesn't work. I see some of the issues that I think need to be changed. And so I've kind of broken down my platform into basically 4 planks, which are relatively all-encompassing. And so the first one, or they're not necessarily in order, but one of them is development. And so that's obviously one of the main pressures here in Georgetown and in Ward 2 generally. And we're seeing the brunt of, I think, the development, or at least the most contentious developments tend to occur here downtown in Ward 2. And so I think that what I saw in all the meetings I was down at is that they're constantly making exceptions to the rules. And so if you have to make exceptions to rules all the time, or I don't remember how many times they did, dozens and dozens of times anyways, then the rules are no good. We need to have a set of rules that we can all agree on that allow us to have the types of development we want to see and not the ones we don't want to see. And then it doesn't slow down unnecessarily the ones that are great. Yeah, let's get this going. You know, I mean, there's a lot of developments which are held up just by red tape. And the other part of the development piece is that I think that we need to engage with the public in earlier and in more meaningful ways about developments. So if there's development going on in your neighborhood, you should know about that as soon as the city knows about it. And you should have the same information that the city is using to base their decisions on to help base your decision on it. Technology makes this very easy, and I think that that's one of the things I would strive to do if I am given the privilege of being your ward councilor, is actively engaging with communities where there's developments going on. The second one, because I need to move on, is transportation equity. And so that's a term that someone used to describe this in 2009, but basically the idea that no matter how you get around the city, whether you walk, you're in a bike, your wheelchair, you use the bus, you drive, or you unicycle, you should be able to get around the city. And that involves making sure that the roads and sidewalks are clean and clear, so that people are able to use the roads in a relatively safe manner. You have to understand the weather, obviously, but people should be able to get around this city. And so that means improving public transportation. The city spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a Metrobus transit study, which they haven't acted on any of the recommendations of, so we need to get moving on that. I'm going to keep moving too, so I don't get stuck on him. But community development is another big piece, and so that ties into what I was talking about with the development thing. If we're going to engage with people earlier in more meaningful ways, as I always say, we have to have strong organized communities like Georgetown Neighborhood Association and many others that are around the city, and we have to encourage those. So, and I think that there's a role for the city there. It could, for a very small amount of money, we could make sure that neighborhood organizations, they have the incorporation papers, or that they have a meeting space, or that they have a few photocopies. The city, with things that the city basically already does now, we can just make sure that other neighborhood organizations know about that, and then that would become very easy for a Ward 2 councilor to be able to engage with the neighborhoods if we're already organized, and that also helps identify issues and also identify solutions. Communities usually know what they want to happen in their neighborhood. That the fourth one is housing. And so I've worked in affordable housing for 6 years now. The housing conditions in the city, I've been in thousands of apartments and rooming houses and such in the city, and the conditions are absolutely deplorable in some of them. So there's the enforcement piece there, and then the other piece is affordable housing development. And so working professionally in this, I've seen some really great examples from across Canada that other cities do. We should implement right away, preferably, a 1 in 10 policy for new developments, and I have to really quick, but basically that means 1 in 10 units of a new development would be affordable. And the main part about that is I think we have to engage with developers as partners in this. We can't just put this on developers, we have to offer them solutions, and if you do it right, the developers can make money, we do affordable housing, everybody wins. So thank you very much, and I also look forward to the questions.